Well, hello there, welcome back to another Pokemon Master Datamine video. Today we're going to be discussing the Datamine that has been, I guess, pulled out of the game late July, and it's going to be talking about content about August, basically from the beginning to almost the end of August. The month before anniversary, because anniversary is August. The end of August. So we'll be talking about that. Again, spoiler alert, if you don't want, I don't even know, it's a movie. If you don't want to be spoiled about the contents of what's going to come in August, then click away from the video. I won't be talking about story, but I will be talking about characters, and perhaps you can see what events that characters come in because of the character. So, if you don't want to be spoiled, click away. But without further ado, let's start. And, a quick summary of this, I guess, patch is similar to last month's where we'd have no Poke Master fairs. We will be getting reruns, right? But in terms of the new units, there won't be any Master fairs. We have a bunch of limited units, and these limited units are, attached to some story. And of course, there's also on top of the new units, there's also some Pokefair units. So some units that will go into standard. So they're keeping it quite tame, in my opinion, because next month is anniversary, and so a lot of people will probably be saving for anniversary. And so I'm guessing they don't want to put too much out because some units probably won't sell well just because people will be saving for next month. I know a lot of people will probably be saying, these last few months, if you watch my Datamine videos, I've been talking about anniversary, hyping it up probably too much. And, if these units, you like these units, or you think they're good, or they come with your favorite Pokemon or character, then honestly, just roll for them. I don't really, save for anniversary, but of course, just doesn't mean don't roll for characters that you like. You like these characters, or you like the reruns, then definitely roll. However, I will say if the characters ban their time reaches next month, when I mean next month, I mean like September, then maybe you can wait for the Datamine for anniversary before you roll, right? I'm not saying don't roll, but maybe you roll just in case. But anyways, yeah, we're just getting those units, and we'll start off with Gloria. Yes, Gloria's getting an alt. We just had Summer Gloria rerun and Dojo outfit Gloria rerun. So now we're getting another Gloria, and it's not an original Gloria. It's one with the outfit from the game. It's going to be a tech unit and going to be paired with Cinderace. So it's a tech, fire, Cinderace. Alright, now this passive is absolutely insanity. This passive is insane. Alright, so it's called Passio's Ace. Lowers the opponent type rebuff by 2 ranks after you use a max move. Alright, keep in mind, Cinderace does have 3 max moves with 3 different types. So you have the option of reducing your opponent's rebuff by 2 in quite a few types. Alright. And then after you do that, it replaces the user's passive and sync move to a different passive and sync move if you're going to use the flying type max move or the fighting type max move. Alright. So that is pretty insane, right? So if you want to keep Cinderace as a fire, you just use G-Max Fireball and it stays fire. But if you use Max Airstream, then you have a different passive and you also have your sync move as flying. Same thing if you use Max Knuckle, you get a fighting sync move and different passives. So basically, Cinderace you can kind of think of Cinderace as 3 units in one. Very similar to Deoxys, where depending on what max move you use, and the thing about max move is you don't need to use it right away. You can use it later, you can use it after the first sync move, heck, you can use it after the second sync move. you don't need to use your max move right away. So just keep that in mind. You can actually change very flexible when you want to change the unit, as opposed to Steven and Deoxys, where you have to change immediately after the battle, or after you send that battle. But anyways, because of that, I'm going to be referring to these as 3 different Cinderaces. So this is going to be Fire Cinderace. Fire Cinderace, that means if you use no max moves, or if you choose to use G Max Fireball, it won't change any of the passives. So you'll have this passive if you have Fire, essentially, Cinderace. Feel Economy 2 decreases move gauge by 2. So Pyro Ball will only cost 2. Keep in mind that you can still use Bounce and High Jump Kick. They will cost 1, but that means that you have not used Max Airstream or Max Knuckle. So technically you could have Cinderace use High Jump Kick and Bounce at only 2 move gauges. So that's very cool. And of course, Bronze Sync powers up Sync move when attack is raised. So that's pretty strong. It is a tech unit, and so keep in mind that you will be having G6 star is going to be 1 times 5 damage for a Sync move. And then I mentioned Pyro Ball, 4 gauge fire physical move, very similar to V-Create of Victini. But this has, very similar in that sense. Bounce, which we've seen Gyarados have, it takes 2 moves. It's like Fly. I think it does more damage than Fly. But Fly is free. Bounce actually costs move gauge. And High Jump Kick, I think we've seen this before too. But it's a fighting move. Again, a lot of damage. Keep in mind that all these moves are not 100% accurate. So you have to keep that in mind. And then the trainer move here, Kickoff, is a 1-time use. Raise attack by 4, raise evasiveness by 1, which doesn't really matter, and raise crit rate by 3. Okay, so Cinderace can almost fully raise his attack and crit with just 1 move. You're going to be missing 2 attack stat ups that you can later get. And then of course, Sync move, it increases, all the Sync moves increase the damage increase if it's the rebuff type. So again, if you use G Fireball, you're going to have the rebuff, and then your Sync move is going to do more damage. So yes, you could save your max move, but you probably want to use it at the beginning of the battle so you can get that rebuff of fighting or flying or fire. Oh, and in the stats, honestly, for a tech unit, these stats are not that good. Defense is actually pretty decent. Attack is pretty low for a tech unit, but keep in mind that this tech unit does just do a lot of damage. Like, all these moves do a lot of damage, and you have max move, which additionally do more damage. So just a lot of damage. Yeah, so that's Fire Cinderace. If you choose to use Max Airstream, you'll have different passives. Piercing Blows. So basically, you just ignore passives, which is really good for Legendary Arena and Legendary Gauntlets. It makes it so that your move ignore passes, so ignore enduring effects and ignores all that stuff. So Piercing Blow is really good. It just consistently, you're going to be doing good damage. And then Quick Move, Sync down to 9. So it removes your sync move counted by 2 after you use Bounce. Bounce it takes usually moves that have a a 2 move or like a 2 turn wind up. For example, Fly and Shadow Force is the same thing. Even though it takes 2 turns, it only lowers the move gauge or the sync move gauge by the sync move gauge by 1. It only lowers it by 1 when you activate the move, because when the move executes, it doesn't actually move the move gauge down by 1. However, with this passive, it does. What that means is that it doesn't interfere with your sync move script. You can still use the sync move in around 3 turns if all your units use a move. So basically, Quick Move, Sync, Countdown, it basically just maintains that sync move script that you can do a sync move every 3 turns, essentially. And then the sync move is flying type. If you choose to use a Max Knuckle, you get Piercing Gaze, which means that you never miss. Again, you never miss with Pyro Ball and Bounce as well. So it's quite good. Of course, High Jump Kick not missing is good. because that means that you won't have to worry about missing and therefore taking half your health. And also, you have hit HP recovery 9, so it restores the user's HP whenever he moves successful. So Cinderace with Max Knuckle, because Max Knuckle also raises attack by 2, you will be having max attack if you use Max Knuckle. So that's very important to keep in mind as well if you want. In my opinion, I think the Max Knuckle Cinderace is a very safe option. You never miss, you're self-healing, and you're self-sufficient when it comes to buffs. So that's really cool. If you don't really need to use sync moves, if you don't need to use a fire sync move or a flying sync move, then the fighting sync move, you just have there. So I think this is a really cool option right there. So yeah, Gloria has 3 different options for you to use her kit. And here for the sync grid, I decided to go with something that's only 3 out of 5 copies. There are some options that you can do with 5 copies. You can do something like this. You can do something like this with 5 copies. But I'm doing a 3 copier, so we do something like this, But anyways, the sync move, there is of course sync move. Each of these sync move power-ups are for the different types. So they cost 7, but it's up 50, right? And so it's a lot more damage, and it only costs 7. So again, it's for the for each perspective. No, not perspective. What's the word called again? For each respective starts with R. Respective type. So fire plus 50, flying plus 50, and fighting plus 50. But also you have some passive like simply slow, raise evasiveness when the opponent's move miss. So when you use bounce, your opponent will not hit you, and so it will miss. So you could raise your evasiveness if you use bounce, if you want to go for a bounce build. Also, you can raise speed when one of your moves is successful. I think this is actually a really good passive. You're going to be needing a lot of copies of Cinderace to get this passive, but I think this is a great passive to raise your speed a lot. Max double down, so you can increase your max move damage if it's super effective. That's pretty good because you're going to be very easy to get a super effective move. Restores 3 MP of move after you use sync move. Bounce. Wait, does bounce only have 3 uses? Wait a minute, hold up. I thought bounce had... It costs 3 gauge, right? Wait a minute, I don't understand what this means. MP of the user's move that has a quick effect. Wait, is it wrong? Is it? Oops. Oh, bounce only has 3 charges like fly. Oh, I was wrong then. Okay, yeah, so yeah, you have to use... it's free, I guess. So again, that could be good if you're going to be using Cinderace as a secondary attacker. It's free, so yeah, you have to recharge it if you're going to use a bounce build. What else is there good? You can have a burn build, super hostile environment for Pyro Ball, and burn synergy is good there. Super effectiveness up next after you use a max move. That could be good if your next move is good. Also has pinpoint accuracy for the first one for 2 copies. I think this is super good if you want to go for. By the way, this is kind of a Pyro Ball build. This is why I have the fire sync move node activated. But yeah, this is definitely you definitely want your accuracy up. There's also Haymaker, so you do more sync move damage if you have higher attack. Then we have Defense Crush. I guess healthy benefit is reduce the damage it takes when smack. It's not really that good. But Defense Crush 9 lowers defense when an attack is successful. That's pretty good. Again, you're going to be pushing more damage. Soften up 1. Your sync moves consistently hit crits if you have this node, which is really good for a tech unit. Max move attack up 2. Raise your attack up 2 after using a max move. Again, this is good for a fighting build or a fire build. For a fighting build, you will raise your attack naturally to max. So you don't need this if you have a fighting build. Max regen is nice to get gradual healing. And then, yeah. 100% increasing after increasing your physical move up next effect. If your opponent miss, again, that's more of a bounce build. So yeah, I think Cinderace is really good. They have a lot of options that you can use if you have Cinderace. You can go with the flying build, the fire build, the fighting build. And yeah, there's just a lot of damage with Pyro Ball. Again, you're applying rebuff, so this probably is, this might not be your main source of damage. You might also have another damage dealer. You might have a field zone setter. A lot of options that you can use with Gloria. The next unit is Leon. So Leon is also gonna be a tech 5-star, alright, and he has Dragapult. Alright, so we're getting Gloria and Leon. This is the Leon from the Battle Tower. And then we have Piercing Blows. So very similar to Gloria Flying mode. You have, I think it's Flying mode. You have Piercing Blows. Again, ignoring passes, it makes Leon and Dragapult really good in Legendary Gauntlet and Legendary Arena. But also, it's pretty good in normal battles too. Just in case there's like some passive where like you resist certain attacks if the enemy has like no status condition or whatnot. The Piercing Blow is just always good to have. But again, it's a really good unit for Legendary Gauntlet, Legendary Arena, if you focus on those a lot. Unfortunate Strike 9 lowers one of the following stats after this Dragapult hits. So it lowers attack, defense, special defense, speed, accuracy, or evasiveness. And if it's a multi-strike effect, it lowers it again. So that's pretty good. And impervious. So yes, Dragapult does have clear body in the main game, so it's very nice to have impervious. As a tech unit, usually impervious is not really good for damage dealers, but keep in mind Leon is tech, so impervious is good. Looking at these stats, we have great attack and pretty great HP, and pretty great speed. So I mean, that's to be expected of a tech unit. And we have Dragon Darts, signature Dragapult move, attacks twice in a row. Now, this move is crazy in my opinion, because it does 100 damage twice, which is like which is so much damage. Like, I know it costs 4, but 100 twice is a lot of damage. It's 200 damage. This move is very potent. On top of Leon's high attack stat, that's pretty good. Will-O-Wisp Burn. Alright, so there's a tech unit, so there has to be some techness happening. And so burn, you have to burn your opponent. You probably get like some bonuses with the sync move. Or with the sync grid, I should say. And then Buddy Breaking Swipe. So activation condition when you use a move, and then it deactivates after you use a move. So basically, you're going to be using like Will-O-Wisp Buddy Breaking Swipe. Dragon Darts, Buddy Breaking Swipe. Usually that's kind of like the script, right? And this move lowers attack, defense, and speed by 1 stat. And it only costs 2. So yeah, okay, you'll be lowering some stats of your opponent. Defense is really nice to lower because you are a physical attacker. And then the trainer move is Let's Have a Blast. Raise attack by 4, raise speed by 1, and raise crit by 3. Again, very similar to Cinderace, where you're going to be fully raising your crit. You can almost be fully raising your attack. And raising speed by 1 is pretty useless. So raising attack by 4, again, keep in mind you won't be having full attack. Sync move, more the target stat is lower, the more damage you're going to be doing. Notice that, yeah, you're going to be lowering stats by a few ways. Breaking Swipe lowers attack, defense, and speed. And then Dragon Darts lowers any stat by 2. Or besides crit, it lowers any stat by 2 because you'll be hitting 2 times. So yeah, you basically, if you use 3 moves, let's say Dragon Darts and then Buddy Breaking Swipe and then Dragon Darts again, you're going to be lowering your opponent's stats by like 7. And then you raise your sync move damage. For a max move, yeah, not the greatest. Max guard, and then lowers, which you can prevent yourself from taking damage. And then max wine win, which lowers attack of all opposing opponents by 1. So basically, you're just going to be using your max move for extra damage. Yeah, I don't even think max move is affected by piercing blows, by the way. I think piercing blow only affects moves and sync moves. See, a move or sync move. It doesn't affect max move, so keep that in mind. Unfortunate Strike, also I don't think is affected by max move. So the max move is not that good. I mean, it does do a lot of damage. Like, it does double damage of Dragon Darts, which already does a lot of damage. So it does do damage, but it doesn't have all the passive buffs, I believe. For Leon Sync Grid, we're going 5-5 Leon right here. We're going 5-5 Leon. We're going all the way. There is some burn build synergy. We have Will-O-Wisp, Flabbergasted. So with your Will-O-Wisp 100% times cause confusion, which is quite interesting. And then boom, you have confusion synergy. So now you do more damage if the opponent is confused. Right, kind of weird. We also have Soften Up, which is nice. Again, guarantees that your sync move does a crit. Scorching Sync 5, it guaranteed your sync move doing a crit if you have the 3 crit buffs. Because normally sync moves have a -1 sync move crit rate compared to normal attacks. So if you have no crit buffs, then your sync move never does crit. But if you have 3 sync buffs, then there's a chance that your sync move doesn't crit. Actually, a pretty decent chance. So this ensures that it will always crit your sync move if you have full buffs. Then your power of sync move when you burn. If you hit an opponent with super effective move, or if you hit an opponent that's burned, you have a 50% chance of getting a super effective buff. Next, pretty decent. Catalyst, not that good. I guess Leon does cost a lot to use. And then max damage guard applies the damage guard after using a max move, so you don't need to use the normal one. So it's pretty good. Let's have a Blast Berserk. So you can fully raise Leon's physical attack if you have this. You can fully raise attack, physical attack by himself if you have this checked out. And then what else do we have? We have Dragon Darts Punishing Strike 9. So Dragon Darts will always lower defense by 1 for each hit. So it will always raise defense by 2, which is pretty strong. Because again, lower defense means you do more damage. Max countdown -1, yes, not that good. But the build I chose to have is kind of a burn build. So Will-O-Wisp go viral 9, so means that if you burn one target, it burns everybody. And then Bronze Sync 5, so powers up user's move when attack is raised. It's pretty good. You power up your Dragon Darts. Burn Synergy, again, you power up your Dragon Darts and buddy breaking swipes when targets burn. And then buddy breaking a swipe, hit burn opponent stat down 9. So if you use buddy breaking swipe when the opponent is burned, you will get an additional lower of a stat. So it just means that you lower 4 stats. So it's attack, defense, speed, and then another additional stat on top of that. And then you use and then I'm having buddy breaking swipe a Bogo 9. So after you use breaking swipe, the next move is free. Now I think that personally this is the best passive, which you only get at 5 copies. So that's why I want at 5 copies. Because I think Leon is very similar to like Lucas, because he is kind of like that secondary, could be your main dragon damage dealer, but kind of a second damage dealer. And so because of that, you kind of need him to be really good on the move gauge economy. So if you're going to be using buddy breaking swipe, which costs 2, the next move is free, which is Dragon Darts. Dragon Dart costs 4, you use it for free. And then after you use Dragon Dart, now you can go ahead and use buddy breaking swipe again for 2. And then again, it's free. Dragon Darts is free. So if you play your cards right, Dragon Darts can always be free with Leon, which I think is super strong. So yeah, that's Leon. Just a bunch of dragon damage. Not very interesting, but it does lower a lot of stats in burn. Now the next unit is a bit of an interesting one because I think this is a free unit. Again, spoiler alert, you have already spoiled. It's a free unit. I think we're gonna get it from an event or something. So yeah, we get a Victor, and his role is field. Yes, you heard that right. His role is field. It ain't tech, it ain't support, it ain't striker. They're adding more roles into the game, which I think it makes sense because we do have a lot of roles, even though it doesn't seem like it. We already do have a lot of roles in the game, in my opinion. A quick tangent. You know, our current roles are support, tech, and striker, and I feel like within those roles there are like sub roles. You know what I'm saying? So like with support, I feel like there are a few sub roles for support. There's healer support, there's a tank support, and there's also a buffer support. You know, So for example, like Rosa with Superior is like kind of a buffer support, you know what I'm saying? And then a healer support would be something like, I'm trying to think of like a bespoke healer support. Somebody with potions, obviously. Like kind of like, because a lot of units have very like they have multiple roles. So I'm thinking about Annabelle Snorlax. Annabelle Snorlax is not only a healer support but also a tank support. And then Skyla with Swanna is more of a healer support and a buffer support. Not much of a tank, but can tank hits. So yeah, there are a bunch of I feel like those are 3 sub roles, and some units have multiple roles or of those sub roles. For example, in my opinion, the best support unit, or some of the best support units is Cynthia with Lucario and Blue with Blastoise, and those 2 of those units are heal supports, are buff supports, and are tank supports, right? When you go for tech, there are, in my opinion, I feel like there's kind of 2 major subcategories for tech units. There are the damage dealers. There are the units that deal damage, and then the units that help deal damage. You know what I'm saying? So the units that deal damage, for example, would be your Cinderace, and your Leon that we just saw. Those are tech units that do damage. And then there are tech units that help do damage. For example, I already mentioned Luca. Luca has Dragon Wish, you know, and stuff like that. So, and then of course there are a lot of tech units that do a lot of like status conditions, status changes, and of course, you know, the best tech units do both damage and facilitate damage. So of course, for example, Leon technically would be both because he does a lot of damage, but he also lowers the opponent's stats so that your other units do more damage. You know what I'm saying? So, but some tech units only fall in one of those categories, right? And for striker units, yeah, I mean, they're pretty easy. Like, you know, strikers, you can have physical striker, special striker, AoE striker, single target striker. The list kind of goes on. Self-reliant striker, or like a striker that relies on other units to really do a lot of damage. So there's a bunch of sub roles when it comes to the original roles that we have in the game. But a lot of units do fall under tech. And so this new field role kind of falls under tech. Another thing that I should say is that usually you can tell a unit's role simply by looking at their stats. Usually support units have high defense, you know, higher defense. They might not have high HP, all right? Sometimes a lot of tech units and sometimes a lot of support striker units actually have more HP than support units in a lot of cases. For example, Lily and Clefairy, even though it's a support unit, has like terrible HP, right? Usually, striker units have pretty high attack. Not the highest of attacks, but they have pretty high attack and pretty low defenses. Tech units usually are the best static units in the game. They usually have not quite of high defense as support units, but they definitely have like more defense than striker units. And when it comes to attack, usually tech units have about the same or even more attack than striker units. So that's kind of how you can tell stat-wise. And by looking at Victor's stats, you can, so high attack, decent defense. So yeah, kind of when you look at Victor, he definitely falls under like attack. In terms of stats, it's kind of between tech and striker in my opinion. So yeah, it's a field unit. So how are the roles different? Well, the roles are different is one of the major reasons how roles are different is the sync move. You know, when you sync move with a support unit, you get double sync move buff. When you sync with a tech unit, you get that 1.5 times damage for that single target. And then for syncing with striker units, it hits everybody. When you sync with a field unit, look at this. It implements the following field effect just before using a sync move. And extends the duration only that time. Alright, so field units, you can tell by the name, summon a field when they use their sync move. But keep in mind that this only happens one time, so very similar to support units where their sync move effect only happens once. You summon a field. judging by Victor having Spectre, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's probably a ghost field that summons, and it summons a ghost field for extended period of time. A lot of tech units do summon fields when they sync move. I don't have any units that come to mind, but I mean, there are units that summon weather effects. For example, Solarize with Ho-Oh and Silver, and also Solarize with Lyra and Meganium. I'm pretty sure Archie and Maxi also summon weather when they sync move. But yeah, basically, when you sync move, you're not going to be doing extra damage, you're not going to be doing AoE damage, you're not going to be having strong sync buffs, but instead you're going to be using a field. You're summoning a field effect. So very similar to a tech unit. Victor also summons a Ghost Zone when enters battle, which is super nice. Keep in mind that this is not going to be extended, it's just a normal Ghost Zone. So even though you summon a Ghost Zone when you summon Victor, the Ghost Zone will not last. The Ghost Zone will not last will not last when you use your first sync move. So when you use your first sync move, you will not get this Ghost Zone buff. Also has Haunted Acceleration, quickly charges move gauge when in Ghost Zone. And Max Regen applies healing effect when you use a max move. In the max move we have our a Ghost max move and a Ground max move. So you can lower defense, you can raise your own special defense. And max guard, of course, increasing or applying the max damage guard next effect. For the moves, we have Shadow Ball, only costs 30. We have Mud Shot, which lowers speed. You have Haze, which returns all raised stats of your opponent to normal. And then Take the Lead. Now, this is very interesting. I think you can use it on any ally, not even yourself, but you can raise an ally special attack by 2 and raise your crit by 1. Only can use it twice. So yeah, you can use it on any ally to raise their special attack and crit. With a max, after using it 2 times, you raise special attack by 4 and raise crit by 1. So yeah, and then the damage from Night Dash Ghost Beam is also 150. So the damage isn't low like Tech. Tech is usually 200. So this is kind of striker power. Striker as in it does 250 at one copy. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this moveset and I'm like, this moveset is pretty garbage. The trainer move, I mean, it's nice that you can use it on everybody, but you can't fully buff. Haze is, I guess, decent utility-wise. Mudshot is garbage. Straight up garbage. Shadow Ball is pretty okay because you will be doing extra damage in Ghost Zone. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of this field unit. This debut, Ghost Zone, in my opinion, is straight up useless. I think that Ghost Zoning when you summon a unit, or zoning when you summon a unit, is bad unless it's extended. Because if it's not extended, for example, with Irida and Glaceon, if you have the Synchrids activated, when you summon that unit, you'll get an Ice Zone and you get Hail. And both of those are extended until your first sync move. Like, it extends past your first sync move. So your first sync move, if you use an Ice sync move, will do a lot of damage. Without Ghost Zone extension, this debut Ghost Zone kind of goes to waste because you're not going to be able to take advantage of it with this first sync move. And also, you're going to be setting up your units. What do you do when you enter a battle? You set up units. You set up your units. Maybe you put some debuffs or some, status elements on your opponent. And then usually you're going to be using a sync move from a support unit, so you get extra buffs. And then after the first sync move, that's when you do all your damage. But if you use field units, then you can use the sync move to activate a zone. Sure, this zone will last a long time, but having a zone up or having the sync move buff up, you know what I'm saying? If you sync with this, you'll have a zone up. Great. But do you know what would be better? If you sync move with a support unit to get double the sync move buff, and then you summon a zone after that. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't that be more damage? So I'm looking at this unit, and I'm like, I don't think this unit is very good. I know it's a free unit, so that's probably why Victor isn't good. It's a free unit. Free units generally aren't that good. But like, I'm not a big fan of field roll, guys. I'm not a big fan. I really am not. Because I'd rather sync with a support unit to get double sync move buff. Or if I just want to push damage, mate, I'll just sync with a tech unit or a support or a striker unit to push in damage. Because I don't need a zone, right? I can always summon a zone with another unit. Because I mean, this unit is competing with Cynthia and Giratina. And Cynthia and Giratina is infinitely better than Victor, just because you can summon Ghost Zone whenever you want. This unit is kind of garbage because you need to summon zones certain times, and also this move doesn't do that much damage. The sync move doesn't do that much damage. I mean, it doesn't have any additional effects. You're not even gonna get the Ghost Zone buff the first time. You will get it the second time if you decide to use this sync move a second time. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Victor at all. I don't like this. I don't like what I'm seeing. I straight up don't even have a sync grid fully made for him. I do have Take the Lead MP Refresh 2 so that you can actually fully race someone's special attack and crit. But aside from that, yeah, I mean, of course we don't expect much from a sync grid of a free unit. But yeah, you do have Sharp Entry 1, you can raise your own crit, Mud Shot stuff, Haze stuff. I don't even really want to even talk about sync grid. You have Ghost Zone stuff. But yeah, I just don't like this unit. I don't think Victor's that good. Don't think Victor's that good at all. And yeah, I think zone or field roll kind of sucks. Straight up, they can kind of suck. I would rather sync move with a actual tech unit, which I'll do a lot of damage with the tech unit, and then that tech unit summons the zone. So yeah, I not a big fan. We got Nemona, which sounds like some kind of coughing disease. Oh mate, I have pneumonia. Oh, I'm not feeling it. I have, All right, Sprint. It's another new role. Sprint. Mate, is this like some kind of cell phone carrier? Let's see what Sprint does. Sprint first time uses a sync move in battle. The sync move countdown is reduced by 3. Again, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of this new role because Sprint, basically, you reduce your countdown. But that's technically, if you think about it, aren't the other sync move the same? You know what I'm saying? So when you sync move with a support unit, you get 2 buffs. Doesn't that kind of mean that like you use 2 sync moves, right? Isn't that kind of like you use 2 sync moves to get 2 buffs? When you sync with a striker unit, it hits everybody. Doesn't that kind of mean you sync 3 times, 1 on each target? You know what I'm saying? And then when you sync move for the tech unit, it does 1.5 damage. Doesn't that kind of mean you sync 1.5 times? Because like you sync 1 time for the normal damage, and then you sync like half the time. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like all the sync moves that we already have for support, tech, and striker already kind of simulate sync moving multiple times. So as a sprint unit to sync move, reduce countdown by 3, I also think that this is garbage. Why would I sync move and reduce the countdown by 3 when I can just use a better sync move effect? When I can just sync move with another unit and get a better effect. Okay, I will admit though, this sync move, the more the speed is raised, the greater damage. Okay, and the max power is 200. So again, this is more of like a tech, kind of in terms of sync move, it's kind of like more of a tech, right? But yeah, I feel like this, the sprint sync effect, I'm not a big fan of either. I feel like I'd rather sync with a support unit or a tech or a striker unit. Honestly, I don't like this effect. But anyways, let's actually finish reading Nemona's kit. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is our first Scarlet and Violet character. I mean, they're just Pokemon Masters just popping off, adding characters from different games recently. So, I mean, this is very exciting if you've played Scarlet and Violet and you really like those characters, and you want to see those characters in Pokemon Masters. I feel like for Anniversary, there's a good chance we're gonna get some legendary Arceus characters or Scarlet and Violet characters. So it's very cool that they're adding these characters. It sets a really good precedent that they'll add other characters, or more characters, right? Nimona and Palmot, I've literally, this is the first time I've seen this Pokemon today. Like, I've never seen this Pokemon before today, but after today, this is a Pokemon. Honing Hit 9 is a great passive. After you use a move, raise attack 2 and crit by 1. So after using 3 moves, you fully raise your attack and crit. Now, I'm not sure if trainer moves count as a move. Because you can see there's 2 trainer moves. Let's Battle All Out and X Speed. Don't know if these moves actually count towards the Honing Hit buffs. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Soften Hit 1. Alright, crits hit 100% under sync moves if you have full buffs. Again, it's pretty good because, I mean, this sync move does seem like it'll do a lot of damage. And you will be using multiple sync moves. Or you will be using sync moves faster, I should say, because of the EX sync effect. And then first S move, restore B move MP1. Or so basically when you use a sync move, you restore your buddy move. Alright, I had to clear my throat there. So, we have stat-wise. Alright, now this looks like a stat. This looks like a tech unit. Look at that speed, look at that attack. Usually, normal striker units don't have this high of attack. So, this is definitely an attack of a striker unit. Or, I'm sorry, attack of a tech unit. We have X speed. So, raise speed by 6. Alright, and when you raise speed by 6, you have you're taking full advantage of this sync move effect. Which is, you're going to be doing a lot of damage, right? And then you have Let's Battle All Out. Reduces sync move of an ally sync bearer by 2. Alright, again, it's a one-time use. Raise attack by 2. Applies gradual healing. Applies damage guard next. And applies enduring. So, wow, that's a lot of effects. So first off, reduce your sync move count by 2. Which could be good if you have propulsion, because that will, if you have propulsion or something of the similar to that, you will be able to use a sync move early. Raising attack, gradual healing, damage guard effect next is really nice, and enduring. Wow, that's a lot of defensive buffs. And you have Buddy Double Shock, which you can use when your speed is raised. So you'll probably be using maybe Let's Battle All Out. You know, you don't need to use it right away. You can use it later in on the battle, depending on, you know, if you're going to be using her defensively. But yeah, you can use X Speed and then Buddy Double Shock. You can only use it once, but keep in mind that it does refresh after you use a sync move. So it does more damage, the greater speed. So very similar to the sync move. And it applies the free move effect to all allies. Yeah, so it seems pretty good. And Thunder Punch to round out the moveset, only costing 2 and doesn't do a lot of damage. Keep that in mind. So yeah, I see that this unit is very interesting because you're gonna be using Summon, X Speed, fully raise your speed, and then you're gonna be using Buddy Double Shock, Boom. Really good, probably really good damage because it does the scale off your speed. And then maybe Let's Battle All Out on another unit. And then you're going to be perhaps using the sync move here. And then after you use the sync move, Buddy Double Shock refreshes. So you can use Buddy Double Shock again. And then you're going to be using another move. And then you can use another sync move. Keep in mind that this effect for the sync move only reduces the sync move count by 3 for the first time you use it. So you have to use another unit. Or you'll probably be syncing with another unit. So yeah, it's very interesting. It does have some tech vibes. But honestly, this unit does a lot of damage solo, right? Does a lot of damage solo because you can use X Speed and B Double Shock by themselves. But also has some support capabilities too. So this unit definitely encompasses all 3 roles. So as a sprint role, it kind of makes sense. For a sync grid, we have a 3 out of 5 sync grid here. Can I do 2 out of 5? No, it has to be 3 out of 5. Oh, what did I have? I think she's a bit interesting. I don't know how much damage she does. That's the problem. I don't know how much speed scales her sync move and her, what's it called? Her buddy move. And so I looked at her sync rate and I saw that it was staggering 3, and I'm like, whoa, okay, she's a flincher, she's a flincher. Yes, that's good. We've made her better. Staggering 3 is really good. Makes it so that your thunder punches, even though they're weak, they have a high likelihood of flinching. And you're probably going to be using her as maybe not your main damage dealer. You couldn't use her as your main damage dealer. Well, she's probably your second damage dealer. But maybe she's your main damage dealer. I'm not sure. And then we have some other tiles. This video is already getting a bit long, so I don't want to go too much in depth, but she does have Haymaker, so she can do more sync move damage. Trip up, lowering speed after using an attack, which is pretty nice if you need to lower speed. Also lowering speed or defense and special attack if you're attacking an opponent that's paralyzed. Enfeeble 2 lowers defense after you summon her. Not that good at 5 copies. You have Vigilance, so if you want some defensive options. Static Shock, so powers on sync move if they are paralyzed. And then you have some electric terrain buffs. If you want to use electric terrain with her, you know, your Volkner or Ash, or not Ash, but Thunderbolt Red. But I have a Thunderbolt build here, or Thunder Punch build. So the Thunder Punch is super effective 5, and then also Thunder Punch speed up, power up. So powers up move when your speed is up, right? Because your speed is going to be max, so you're going to be using your Thunderbolts are going to be doing a lot of damage. And they also have a Thunder Punch Hostile Environment 9. So your Thunder Punch 100% of the time inflicts paralysis. If you want to really make sure that you paralyze your opponents. So that's Nemona. I think that very interesting. I'm not a big fan of the sync roll, but it does seem like she can dish out a lot of damage. And honestly, you don't even need to use her sync move. You can just straight up not use a sync move and then just use her as a thunder puncher that paralyzes and does decent damage. So yeah, I think that you can do that. We are also getting Josna as a Pokefair, so she can be entering standard after her banner ends. She's another tech unit, and her kit's very simple. Super effectiveness, so your moves that are super effective do more damage. If your moves are super effective, they'll apply the free move next effect, so you can chain. You know, you just need to use the first move that's super effective, and then the next time is going to be free, and then saying that you're going to hit the same target with the same move, you're going to be using it, all Josna's moves are going to be free. And then also team's special attack down immunity, so your team can't have special attack lowered. This is actually very interesting because we have Draco Meteor here, and Draco Meteor lowers your special attack, but because of the passive, your special attack won't be lowered. And so yeah, you can actually use Josna with like Zinnia, or like Zinnia with Rayquaza, or I guess Steven with Rayquaza, or Dragonair with Claire, or even Brandon if you want. You won't be lowering your special attack, which I think is very interesting. Also mentioned the stats are pretty okay. I mean, these are pretty okay stats as a special striker, right? Sludge Bomb, Toxic. Alright, so you also have some poison utility with this unit. You can Toxic and then Sludge Bomb, be using poison damage. And also Simply Charming to self, raise the special attack by 4, raise crit by 2. Alright, so technically does not fully raise special attack, does not fully raise crit. And apply the super effective next, which is, I guess, a nice bonus. And then your sync move, damage increase when poison. So yeah, I mean, you can use this as a dragon striker. You can use it as a poison striker. And no matter what, you're going to be doing decent damage, and it's going to be free. So Josna is probably your secondary striker. Or if you have a field zone setter, you can also use it with a field zone. For the sync grid, I think Toxic, I have a Toxic build. So you use Toxic, and then boom, you fully raise your special attack, which is nice. But also Sharp Entry. So when you summon, you raise your crit by 1. So with this sync grid at 30 copies, you can fully raise your stats. So you can fully raise your attack. And then we round it out with Virulent Toxin. So you increase your sync move if it's you increase sync move power if they're poison. And then also we're raising our accuracy of Draco Meteor. Note that Josna also, oh, it doesn't raise accuracy. Wow, she doesn't raise accuracy with her moves. So yeah, you will be missing with Draco Meteor. Is there a way I can get this node? This node would be pretty important if I can get it, but I don't think I can unless I skip out on something. Yeah, we have a trainer move can heal, can apply a special move buff. Toxic, you can use it, and the next move will be free. Draco Meteor. You can also Draco Meteor move refresh. You also hit poison opponent's stat down 9. So if you hit opponent that's poison, it lowers the stat. That could be good if you want to be lowering stats. And then toxic power powers up move when poison. So if you want to go for a more poison build, you can do a lot more damage with her if you have a way of buffing her. But if you don't have a way of buffing her, then this is kind of what you want to go for, right? So that you can fully utilize her buffs. So I think she's okay. I mean, of course, she is a Pokefair unit, so you don't expect her to be too, like, crazy. Our next Pokefair unit is Olympia, a gym leader from Kalos. And she is also going to be tech. And she has Sigilus. Now, this unit is a bit of a weird unit, just because I feel like there is... store powered. Let's just start with the elephant in the room. Store powered does damage the more you buff yourself. But the problem is I don't exactly know store power scaling. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't know how much damage she does. I don't know how much damage she does. When she enters, she has Agile entry 6, so she fully raised evasiveness, which is going to be very helpful in increasing store power. Swag back 2. So increase the chance of ancient power triggering. Ancient power, if it triggers the effect, it will raise attack, defense, speed, special attack, and special defense. So, I mean, again, you can have an extra chance of raising those stats. So again, it buffs your store power. And she also has P-move stat raise times 2. So basically, whenever she uses Calm Mind, not only does she increase attack and special attack and special defense by 1, she actually increases it by 2 every time she uses it. And then she also has a trainer move, an opportunity, which applies stat reduction defense, which is pretty good because you don't want your stats to be reduced because that will actually lower store power. And then raise crit by 3, which is pretty good because, okay, if you raise your crit by 3 and you use Calm Mind 3 times, you can fully raise your special attack. And keep in mind, you'll also fully be raising your special defense. And keep in mind that you'll also have evasiveness maxed out. Your store power is going to be pretty strong. It's going to be pretty potent, I think. Not sure exactly how much damage it does, but looking at these stats, there are pretty low stats, to be honest with you. I'm looking at these defense, look at the special attack. Not the highs of stats, but, I mean, again, as a tech unit, these stats are pretty standard. And Starlight Path Psychic as a sync move, the more stat is raised, the greater damage it does. So, as you can see, Sigilith is more of like you want to buff Sigilith up, and then after you buff up, you're going to be casting down some store power. And then there's I feel like there's 2 ways you can raise your stats. You can try to go with the Ancient Power, or you can try to go with the Calm Mind. Calm Mind can be more safer, but Ancient Power does have its benefits. For Sync Grid, For Sync Grid, I chose Calm Mind Barricade and Calm Mind Ramp Up. This means that if you use Calm Mind, you'll increase special attack and special defense by 1. Which means, on top of regular Calm Mind's effect and the passive, with these nodes, each time you use Calm Mind, you raise attack and special attack by 3. And if you use it again, you'll max it out. So essentially what goes on here is that you use Calm Mind twice, you use your trainer move once, and then boom, you can start using store power immediately after the sync move, right? Double down, you can power up your sync move if it's super effective. Smart Cookie, more special defense raise and more power up moves. Again, if you have a Calm Mind build, then you will for sure have max special defense. So your sync move is going to be doing a lot of damage. You can also use Ancient Power to have an additional swag bag too. So you can have Ancient Power having a higher chance of inflicting or raising all your stats. Super Preparation, Super Effectiveness up. I don't think this is good at all because you don't want your Sigilus being a rock type striker. You know what I'm saying? I guess you could use Ancient Power, Super Effectiveness, or Super Prepare 4 to get a Super Prepare, or to get Super Effectiveness next effect for Store Power. I guess you can do that. That would be a bit weird, but you could do that. Reduce Sync Move, Q Cutter 2, reduce Sync Move if an opponent miss. Again, you will be having max evasiveness, so you might be able to trigger this. Brute Wits, more special defense raise, more power up sync moves. Oh yeah, so Smart Cookie powers up moves, I should say. So this powers up your store power. Brute Wits powers up your sync move. And then you also have Trainer Move, additional buffs. And yeah, so Sigilus is really good at self-buffing and being able to dish out good psychic damage. Will this be better than Caitlyn? Will this be better than Giovanni? I'm not sure. But I think it's definitely an interesting unit to test out. I'm not sure exactly how much store power does, but I'm sure this unit paired with not Muna, but Mushana, Bianca. This unit paired with Bianca might be very fun. Our last unit, again, this video is super long because I talked a lot about the new stuff. We have Calem. Calem is going to be our trainer launch unit. That's why he's only 4-star. He's the only striker in this patch. He has Fennekin, which is very cute because Serena also has Fennekin. So Calem has Fennekin. Very nice. Striker Fennekin, super effectiveness, raise super effectiveness hits. Super interference 4. So a good chance it raises inflicting status condition and status changes, which is a really good passive. And then healthy super hit has a super effectiveness up next effect when enters battle. I mean, pretty bad stats, but it's a free unit and it's a striker, so what do you expect? The moves that can burn and or the moves that inflict status conditions and status changes are Heat Wave and Side Beam. Very reminiscent of Meowstic and Calem. So the original Calem, he also does inflict status condition and status elements. I should say status condition and status changes. So he can also inflict confuse. Again, higher chance with super interference 4, and also can burn all your opponents with Heat Wave. Keep in mind that these moves will be powered up if they're super effective. Can buff own special attack by 4 stats if you use X special attack twice. And Battle Besides You raises user's accuracy by 1, which is really important because it means that your Heat Wave will have 100% accuracy. And it also raises crit rate by 3, which is pretty good because it's a striker and you can fully raise your crit. And then applies the free move next effect, which is pretty nice because your Heat Wave is going to be free. Not much to say about Calem, to be honest with you. Here I have a Burn and Confuse build. So we got Burn Synergy, increased move when burn. Heat Wave, also 30% chance of being free, which is pretty nice. Charging Confuse 4, so the user's confused, there's a 50% of charging your move gauge by 2. So not only is your move free, but you could charge your move gauge by 2 if you get lucky with hitting a confused target. Battle Buff 3, it powers up both move and sync move if the opponent is confused. And then Super Interference 1, which again increases the chance of confusing and burning. So yeah, this is basically just you're going to be inflicting burn, you're going to be inflicting paralyze, or inflicting burn, inflicting confuse, and then you're just going to be trying to use as much moves as possible, especially since your Heat Waves are going to be free and you're going to be charging your move gauge a lot. Other sync move nodes, you can try to focus on more sync move damage. You can focus on powering up sync move if the opponent's burn. This tile I would love to check it, but it's a bit far. And then that's basically it in terms of the impactful nodes, in my opinion. Alright, so the video is a bit long, so I need to summarize all the units and tier them. I think Gloria is a great unit. She's actually our first, I think she's the first unit who's actually a multi-type striker. You know, a lot of units, for example, the last month we had Rose with, I forgot the Pokemon called. Rose, with the Caparaja. And Caparaja, even though it can use multiple types of moves, the sync move is only steel. Same thing with Leon. Leon can't, Leon is, even though Leon has a ground move and a flying move, mainly a fire striker. And even units like you know, I mentioned N. I think I mentioned N. Maybe I didn't mention N. But like N and Anniversary Steven, you know, they both have a dragon move, but they're mainly the electric and flying type striker respectively. But with Gloria, she actually is able to change the type of her sync move, which means that she is, well, I guess other units can do that too, like Gladion. But yeah, Gloria is able to change the type of, I'm pretty sure actually Genesect and Hilbert also does this too. I'm not sure. But Gloria does it, and she's powerful. And she's powerful, and she does it. And so yeah, she is actually a very good multiple type striker, because she actually changes her sync move to the type that is weak to, and she applies rebuff. Rebuff on your opponents, which makes you do more damage. And yeah, she's a versatile unit. She's a very versatile unit. Is she the best fire type striker in the game? I don't think so. Is she the best flying type striker in the game? I don't think so. Is she the best fighting type unit in the game? I don't think so. You know, like I have Diantha with Keldeo, which I think is a better fighting type striker, or a fighting type unit, I should say, because Keldeo and Diantha aren't striker. I have Hilda and Victini, second to Hilda and Victini, which I think is a better fire type striker. And even N and Reshiram are pretty good too. I have Anniversary Steven, which sucks, so Gloria might be better than him. But, you know, if you have units already that fulfill these types, you don't really need Gloria. But Gloria is a great unit if you've just started the game and you're looking for a very versatile unit. She's very strong, and she can fulfill a bunch of roles. And yeah, so I'm putting Gloria on S tier. I'm putting her S tier because I think that she is versatile enough. She might not be like the strongest unit of each of her types, but I think she's strong and versatile enough that you can find a lot of use in her. I feel like if you roll her, you're going to be using her a lot. Leon, I feel like Leon is very strong damage. Not a very interesting unit, to be fair, but a very strong unit. I think he's really competing with Luca, in my opinion. You know, Luca does summon field, so he does boost your other dragon types moves. But Dragapult just does so much damage by himself that, you know, you can't really say that. I don't think that Luca is 100% always better than Leon. Sometimes Leon might be better. So, do I think Leon is better than Signa Suit Serena with Zygarde? Well, I mean, that's a Master Fair unit, right? So, you have to compare to Pokefair. So, yeah, I think Leon is good. I'm going to put him in solid A tier. I think Luca is also, I'll put A tier, right? So I think he's definitely a good dragon type striker. Maybe not the best dragon type striker, but very good. And I mean, it's Dragapult. Heck, we all love Dragapult with the little G piece, you know. So I think Leon's A tier. Oh, we have Victor. I don't like this unit. I feel like, again, it's unfair to compare it to the other two Goat Zone setters in the game. Lily, Special Costume Lily can also activate Ghost Zone, but she doesn't. That's not her main role. She is a support unit, right? So, I mean, if you want to compare it to the actual Ghost Zone setter in Renegade Cynthia, I think Cynthia is just, I mean, you can set it whenever you want. Cynthia does way more damage than Victor, but Cynthia is Master Fair. Victor is free. So, as a free Ghost Zone option, Victor is not bad. But honestly, I don't think he's good. I don't even think he's good enough to be an A tier. I'm going to put him in B tier. He's a zone setter. But again, the first zone is useless, and he can only summon one zone afterwards. So, yeah, I'm going to put him in B tier. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's good enough. Maybe you can find use of him in the Ghost team, but I just think his movesets suck. And I think the field role, at least him in field role, is not good. I think he is not a good unit. I'm going to put him in... I would put him lower. I would put him in C tier if he didn't summon zone. Like, he's that bad in my opinion. But I'll put him in B tier because his second zone that he uses, that he summons with his sync move, actually lasts to the second sync move. So, I'll put him in B tier. Nimona is also a really weird unit. I don't know where to put her. I might be underrating her of how good she is and how good the sync roll is, because I don't think the sync roll is good at all. Yeah, I might be severely underrating her damage from Buddy, Double Shock, and her sync move. I don't know. I'll put her in low A, high B. I'm unsure where to put her. I don't think she's S, but I don't think she's like like bad. Like bad would be kind of like C, right? I think she's A or B. I'm not sure. I mean, she is Pokefair, so maybe I'm underrating a Pokefair. Maybe she should be an A, but I don't like her sync move. I think the sprint roll is pretty bad. But hey, she might be doing a lot of damage. She will do a lot of damage, especially in electric train. So yeah, I'm gonna put her maybe low A, high B. Maybe she deserves A. Maybe the safest will put her in A. Maybe I overrate her, but I don't know. That's where I think. Drosna, I think that she is decent. I actually really like her kit. I'm gonna put her B. Because there are better units in the game. She's a standard unit. Standard units just aren't good. Just aren't that good, I should say. So I'm gonna put her B. I think she does do decent Draco Meteor damage. I think the team special attack down immunity is pretty fun to play around with. I might actually play around with this with like Zinnia, right? So I think she's okay. I think she's B tier. I think there are better. Well, there might not actually be better dragon type users in the standard pool. She might actually be very powerful in the standard pool when you consider her a dragon type striker. But as a poison type striker, I feel like Looker and Krogunk are a bit better. And then we have Olympia. Again, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm guessing that she does more. If you set up properly, I'm guessing she does more damage than Caitlyn and Reniculus. And I think that paired with Bianca, I think she can do a lot of damage. Right, with Psychic Zone, I feel like Olympia could do a lot of damage. Is Olympia better than Giovanni? That's the question, because Giovanni is free and he does tons of damage. I would reckon that she is not as good as Giovanni, so you really can't put her high. So again, I think she's C or B. Again, I might be underrating Store Power's damage, but we do have a lot of good psychic type strikers in the game. You know, she is in a lot of competition. I feel like Drosna, we don't have that much good standard dragon users, you know? I guess like Cyrus is pretty good. Cyrus is pretty good as a free standard dragon unit. But Olympia, yeah, I'll put her B. I'll put her B. I'm not sure. Maybe I should put her C. But I mean, I'm yet to use her. I'm assuming her store power do a lot of damage. And of course, Calem and Fennekin. I mean, there's a hard C. I mean, he's just not gonna be pushing that much damage. It's pretty decent though. Like not bad. Not unusable. I think C is fine. But yeah, again, this video is already super long, but I'll continue it by saying what I'll do. I'll be saving for anniversary. And because I'll be saving for anniversary, I'll probably not roll for. And if I were to roll for a unit, I'll roll for Gloria, even though I don't need Gloria. I like Gloria, and I think Cinderace is a fun unit. So if I were to roll for a unit, I'll roll for Gloria, and I also think she's the best unit out of the lot. But I am pretty happy not rolling. Again, I don't not too fond of or not needing to roll for Leon just because I like Dragon Pult, but I really don't need Leon, right? And Nimona, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sprint Roll. Not a big fan of Sprint Roll at all. These are standard units, so I don't really roll for units that will go into standard. So yeah, I will not be rolling for any of these units. Probably wouldn't even roll for Gloria. Maybe I'll roll for her rerun, but since we're so close to anniversary and there are technically other banners in this patch that I want to roll for, I'm not going to roll for Gloria. But anyways, yes, I know that this was a super long Datamine analysis video. If you reached the end of this, you're a mad lad. So thank you for watching. Next month's anniversary, so keep that in mind when you roll for these units. But roll to your heart's content. If you like these units, don't hesitate to roll for them. But yeah, thank you for watching. Now I need to end the video. I think I pressed here.